Hello! How is everyone doing today? Mr. Hatter, nice to see you up on stage.
Hello, hello.
Hello,
And
hello.
also, hello, Keith. Welcome back. It seems like it's already your second living room over here, right? Here up on stage.
It's getting comfy in here.
I hope that you're not starting to get bored at talking over here, right?
I never get bored. I mean, I do, obviously, in life, but I try not to. But if you're a person who's always bored, that means you are the boredom.
Yeah, it's like the one with saying like if everyone around is an asshole, right?
What's the other one? If you can't find the village idiot, chances are.
Chances are he's the one in the mirror, right?
Yep.
How you been, Keith? Everything fine? Exciting times ahead at Monstro.
Yeah, I mean, everything's rolling along. I was just talking to our video game studio, getting a fresh, Monday outlook for what's happening this week, what milestones they need to hit. So that's moving along, nice and quick. It's sometimes with these studios, especially at the beginning, you really got to kind of really like whip them into shape. But once you get rolling, it's pretty good. You see a lot of quick progress, and it's always awesome when their art department delivers us things we can then tease to the community, which we haven't really gotten much of just yet. But at the end of the week, I'm thinking we'll have a few things we can drop, and those are always exciting because you get to see them as opposed to the background, the documents, the algorithms, the things that people don't see. So
Yeah. And that's the exciting part about game development in comparison to, let's say, some smart contract writing, because there's a lot of things you can show during the development. It's not, I mean, how many people actually care about some, I mean, of course, a lot of people care about some lines of Solidity code, but probably not as exciting and flashy, right?
definitely the case. If you can show them something that moves or, some cute monsters, I think that's a lot more exciting.
Awesome. Looking forward to also getting into that as well. One second, Matt Hatter, can you speak for a second? I hope that your microphone is not too low.
Yes, I can speak.
Okay, perfect.
Is my microphone too low? Quick shout
No,
out to
you sound perfect.
our very own Tom Jones. My Radio One voice makes him think of home. So, Tom, this is for you.
Tom is our latest defender. He got a promotion at Monstro.
Woo!
Oh, he did?
He did. So, Tom's been, as much as he has his obviously entertaining personality on the front end, he's a really smart guy. He's been helping us a lot on the backside. So, yeah, we're very happy to have given him a small Monstro promotion, and, hope the place doesn't burn down, but
Congratulations, Tom.
You've given the Archbishop of, as we like to call him over here, but self-proclaimed Archbishop of Banterbury. So
and then just a shout out to everyone in the audience. I think I actually recognize every single person except for Baruchi. That's one I'm not familiar with, I don't think.
See, it's a whole big DeFi family, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, when you're in the circles with good people, you tend to overlap a lot, right?
Yeah. That's true.
I see plenty of people I don't recognize when I join a Telegram of a project that rugs, that's for sure.
Sorry, I'm just checking something for a second. And then I believe we are Good to go in a second. Manada, are you good to go? You want to start?
Yes, let's start.
Alrighty. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for coming. Welcome to The Pillars. We are a community-led space aimed at supporting protocols and educating our investors through intelligent, meaningful conversation. Here we ask the tough questions you all want answered. Now, let me introduce to you someone we had up on stage already plenty of times, sometimes with us, sometimes without us even. It's OX Various, it's Keith from Monstros Universe. Welcome, Keith. It's a pleasure to have you here. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. A little side note as well for the people that are following the investment updates. Monstros Universe is the project that once it came into the investment update, wiped the floor with every other project. It's the #1 top performing protocol for 6 weeks in a row now. So congrats on that. I believe that's a record that it's going to be hard to to be beaten. It was the Farms Cycle B NFT from Monstro, and yeah, if you want to check it out, jump into the investment update. And of course, if you want further information, we're going to share the links on Monstro right at the community questions channel, where you also can ask your questions. Also, don't forget, we are going to reward for our new PP structure, Pillars Portfolio structure. We are going to reward the best questions with extra PXP. That's going to give you that's going to get you faster to the beneficiary role, and therefore a portion of the monthly rewards. Then, of course, we also have a $25 giveaway that's going to happen at some point when Mad Hatter is announcing it. Other than that, I want to let the boys get into it. Please ask away in the community questions channel, and I hope you enjoy.
Thank you very much, David, for that lovely intro. Keith, how are you, sir? I hear it's been snowing where you are at the minute.
It is. It's the first day I woke up this year to snow, or at least after the summer. So it's about time, I would say. I think snow is welcome by Halloween time. So just under the wire it got in, and my dog loves snow, so he's very happy.
Right, great, good. So this is a flash conversation. It's a 30-minute chat to catch up with you. However, I was grumbling at myself and grumbling at you guys because I definitely want a longer chat at some point. And as David just mentioned, if you take a look at the investment update channel, you guys are and have been topping the leaderboard for that for the last 6 weeks. So in honor of you guys doing so well, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you kind of introduce the new version of Monstro. I'm going to ask, of course, a couple of questions in the next 30 minutes. But I want to arrange a time next week to bring you back in once you've got a bit more kind of exciting things to announce. And if you're okay with it, I'd love to get you in for an hour plus conversation so I can, really put you in the hot seat.
Yeah, I mean, we're always happy to talk to you guys, right? And we know it's an awesome community to speak to here. So, my availability is always open when you guys can plug me in.
Great, perfect. In which case, I'll reach out after this. So, Monstro, we've had a couple of conversations about you guys, and it's taken different forms over the last few months. Can you talk to us very briefly? I know you said you recognize a lot of faces, so I'm sure a lot of people have already heard most of this, but can you talk to us very briefly about what it is that's new in comparison to what you had going on a few months ago?
Yeah, so when we started Monstros Universe, we really wanted to raise funds to do a very different crypto type of lotto, like a gamified lotto, that wasn't targeting what we saw most were targeting, which was the actual investors of the project themselves. We thought, hey, let's actually target outside of that, have investors, sure, they can play if they want, but we really want to target the masses out there, just like crypto casinos generally do and some other sites. So this was something we tried to raise 50,000 for. We thought we'd be able to raise it. We only made it about halfway. We always, on anything we raise, we always have an open door refund policy if we don't make it. But to our pleasant surprise, a lot of people who had invested, especially some who had invested, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, they didn't want the refund. They mentioned they were investing in us as a team and we're looking to see, could we do one of our other ideas or do something different? Because it was going to be just the first step into Monstros Universe, and we called it a universe because we did want to build out many different facets, even
Hmm.
from back then, starting with the lotto. So we said, you know what, let's put the lotto on the shelf, do something that can produce revenue quicker. It is a bear market where we see people are putting money as stuff that gives them income, daily or weekly as opposed to monthly or long term. So we decided on farming, yield farming. And this was something going even back, before the Lazarus pit. We were doing a lot with concentrated liquidity. Volumes dried up, which unfortunately, that strategy wouldn't have worked out without a lot more capital.
Hmm.
So we thought, there's a lot coming up. And then Base Chain was launching. Pulse Chain was starting to get a little bit of heat at the moment. And the timing just lined up where out of, we offered the full refund to everyone, and I think 7 people took it for $700 out of
Right.
25,000. And I think most of those were people who had won it on giveaways anyways, so it wasn't like real investors. So that
Hmm.
showed us a lot. We went forward with the farming plan. We designed it, did a very straightforward sunk cost NFT, and then the idea was, what's a little bit unique about it is we structured it where over time, the more people ROI, the more the share shifts to our side. And we did that to basically prove to people and show people our interests are aligned, right? We don't make a deposit fee, we don't make a single other cent. We only get a share of what we're making you. And then at the same time, this allows us to grow. And we suspected that, if people are ROIing, for one, that's a rare thing these days in most DeFi.
Right.
And if they are, and as they are, they won't mind that a little more goes to us to help build, the ecosystem out further, give them more opportunities, reward ourselves as a team, at some point. One
Right.
day, we do plan to take some money. And that's kind of how Monstrous Farms came about.
Great. Thank you. You say ROIing in this space at the moment is kind of a rarity. Is that adding added pressure to you guys? And how do you manage that pressure in terms of what you're looking at for your returns? Because I'm sure one of the things people will want to know is, how risk averse or how healthy is your risk appetite when you guys are looking at various farms? And, how much of what it is that you're sitting on might you put in any single particular farm to start generating those?
So it's kind of it's a very hard balance because we need to balance high APRs, which obviously come with more risk, and the higher the APR, the better, right? The better it looks, definitely the more risky it is. And the ones that we believe in setting up, liquidity for the long term, even if they've, given us tons of impermanent loss or unrealized loss, it's something where it is a hard balance, and we try to do our best at it. We made one major mistake already along the way, which was we spent hours researching tomb protocols. And when Based Farm came out with theirs, they had a few spins on it. We had a plan that we thought was safe. We had a plan where we could have gotten out in some profit. And we really thought that it would have gone, though, another step to get to where we thought the problems would start. So that was
Hmm.
a risk we took that strayed from our plan. It didn't go there. It went to probably the exact opposite of what everything else did in the past, and it kind of screwed everyone a lot earlier than expected. So that's something that taught us, okay, we're going to try to stay away from those more. And even if the other ones are a little bit lower, it's not, initially we were targeting 20% a month to return to people, which would be fantastic, but it was always optimistic. And there will be months we obviously hit it, right? For August, we hit something like 46% or something. And then now
Right.
we've been at a pretty stable, roughly a 3% per week mark, which to a lot of people is still great. And we have our safe spots. We have spots we really like what they're doing, their teams. We don't feel any concern of rugs. Places like Spark Swap with AJ from EMP, right? Places like
Hmm.
Alien Base, they're a really good team. I've had almost daily conversations with about all their future plans. So there's places that even if the price is beaten down and a lot of farms launch hot, then they drastically tank, then it's up to what can they build for the future. We're still adding to those positions, averaging down, but the results are some days, a lot weaker than we'd like. So we try to mingle in some new ones. But we're adopting a new strategy now where we're not going to try to get into new ones on day one, not try to be early, let them peak, let them come back down maybe after, 8 days, 9 days, 10 days. That's usually the range. And then at that point, if we still see, everything's good, there's a good vibe about them, the APRs are still within the range we want to target, then we'll enter them. So this will be a little bit of a safer play that we're, going to do going forward. And then there's some
Right.
things like right now we're putting a little bit testing out things like this Carol protocol on base, right? It in essence, you can see how it's designed. It obviously employs certain aspects of Ponzi-nomics for sure, but the team is very smart. Their white paper has a lot of intelligent, ideas in it. There's a lot of things we like about it to where it's still something we consider high risk, but it's something we're going to be adding a little bit to, slowly over time and seeing how it goes. So that's kind of how we've approached it. We really want to blend being able to deliver at least, a 10% a month result, which is, 2.5% a week, with building for the future, for the bull run, with trying to avoid like really big rugs where there's, zero chance of recovery, where we lost like the money completely. Even in base farm, there's probably 1% chance they rebound, but it's still alive. The team's still working. There's still some chances that we regain some of that value. There's other rugs, we've avoided where a lot of people were hyping them up, wanted us to be in it. We didn't feel right about them. And those ones are ones that went to zero, like complete liquidity pulls or such. So it's
Right.
yeah, it's just something we have to manage, as best we can. And we have multiple people trying to do the research and vetting. And we also have, people we talk to all the time. I saw one of them quickly in the audience, Felix, their DeFi dude. He does some awesome research. I talk to him often. And
Mhm.
it's just something, yeah, we rely on, a network of information to try to lower the risk.
It's impressive how many people have rallied around you and really support you guys as a team. Um, and I think that's a testament, obviously, to you guys and how you work, and it's a real strength for you. Why do you think that is? What do you think the main factor is that people have really decided that they want to get behind you and help?
I think one thing, Funny Toro just kind of mentioned it in the sidebar here, is everything is 100% visible, right? So we
Mm.
promote our debank link, every wallet is there, everything anyone can want to check into about the project, the results, etc. is full transparency. We're not posting only certain things or wins or, here's where some of this is, but where's some of the other missing money. So I think that helps a lot. Um, I see more projects. Some of them are doing the same thing, but then I think the other part is we do have a bit of a track record, right? We've been around. We've had money in our hands we could have easily stolen. For example, the Lazarus Pit funds we inherited. We've had plenty of money we could have stolen from our Master Brews projects. We did
Mhm.
have the open refund policy. Things like in the past when I tried Nexus War, everyone got refunded. Some people had to force them to take their refund. But I think all of that eventually just keeps building a reputation. And I think people know that we're going to try to do our best here, and they appreciate that and they support that. And even if, another project might deliver a better result at some point, I think in our case, at least, the trust factor is never going to be an issue with people.
Right. Yeah, I see somebody already saying that Monstro has an ecosystem and a roadmap that make it different from others. And I can see Funny Toro gently trying to prompt me in the right direction of asking how these NFTs work. To talk us through a little bit about how they work, there a shelf life? How much can you expect to get back? What's the ROI structure? And if you guys are going to open another sale, when is that? And what does that start at?
Yeah, so I'll just mention quickly that the next sale, we do sales by windows. They're 72-hour
Mhm.
windows. We do that for a bit of marketing, meaning we don't spend a lot on marketing. It's very word of mouth. But when we do spend a little bit, it's, in a few quality sources, and then it's Really, these windows create a little bit of FOMO, right? People see the results
Right.
others are getting, they want in. So that is working for us. The next window actually opens November 2nd. This is going to be the launch of our next cycle. We call it the Cycle C. So that's going to
Great.
be November 2nd at noon. It's going to last for 72 hours. Outside the windows, any holder of any of our NFTs, they're always able to buy on demand. They're always able to add in. And how these NFT works, it's a little bit unique in that they ROI in groupings, no matter what point you get in. And
Hmm.
there's pros and cons to getting in early or getting in late. And I'll explain a little bit. So they are sunk cost NFTs. We're very upfront about that. Every single cent of them goes directly to the working capital on the farms. So if you pay $100 and you buy right now, let's say a cycle B, that $100 is going straight into working and producing. None of it's going in our pocket. And it blends in with the rest, right? So if the cycle Bs are 25% ROI'd, if you buy in, you're only, you're getting 75% of that 80-20 split level. And when the group ROIs, even if you came in later, you still move down with them. But some of the other
Right.
perks are you're taking less risk, you're getting into something that's proving itself out. So we try to balance the early versus the late comers, and always try to give a little bit more reward to our early supporters as well. So each cycle has a little bit of a perk over the next. One thing we're doing different that we're introducing here is we had a bit of a problem figuring out how to transition when a cycle hits around that 25 to 30% ROI mark. It's not very appealing for someone to buy in if it's already halfway gone, right? Or maybe 3/4 of the way gone, instead of buying one that starts at a fresh 80-20 split cycle. So
Right.
the way we figured out how to transition that is we added a little bit of a gambling, a little bit of a game theory, and you can buy the Bs until the Cs release, until exactly that moment. The Cs they'll start a new thing where there's a $5 tax on them, and this
Hmm.
tax gets split up and goes to the B buyers. So even if you buy a B the day before, you could stand to recover the ROI that's already been on it, plus more if you think the Cs are going to sell really well. And it's just a little bit of something we figured out solves that problem without being, a massive change or deterring anyone from purchasing. But as far as lifespan, these are forever in perpetuity NFTs. So they'll drop from their initial tier. Our Genesis series were 9010. The more expensive ones you can buy on demand are 9010. And then they just go down, right? The newer ones start at 8020. That's the lowest we'll ever start at. Once
Hmm.
your group has ROI'd 100%, it drops the tier to 7030, 6040, 5050, until it reaches that 1090 spot, and you'll stay there forever. But this would mean you've basically ROI'd, 8 or 9 times to get there. So we don't think anybody's going to be complaining at that point. And
Right.
this definitely shifts things in our favor, right? Shows that longevity we're looking for. And if all goes well, we'll be making a lot of money to have a lot of resources to do a lot of things by that point. And that's how it was designed.
If you get a sudden surge of people wanting to jump in, um, how are you going to manage that? Have you got contingency plans for that? As you guys grow more popular, as people and word starts to get around, one of the best forms of advertising, as you said, is word of mouth and proving out what you're doing. Being able to demonstrate that you guys are coming in number one against a ton of well-known projects week in, week out in terms of returns. If you do find yourselves getting super popular, how will you manage that inflow of money?
Well, I think at one point we will want to expand the team, right? We know a lot of people who've been in this space much longer than I, much more experienced than I. There's always people we can leverage and bring in if the funds are there to bring them in on such things. Right now, we like keeping it small. We're not at the point where anything is even close to outside the realm we can handle.
Hmm.
This week we expect to get in. So one of our earlier holders, he holds I think he holds a vault in some castles, probably. But Raza, who's in the crowd here, he spoke to us and asked, "Is there a possibility to come in for $100,000 NFT with a few different terms on it, right? Where the
Right.
cycle doesn't go all the way down to 1090, it stops at 7525, there's some other perks about it. And we talked about it as a team. We said, sure, that level, we still have absolute confidence we can place it, make the returns, continue to grow. It also helps everyone else in the ecosystem by kind of boosting up results where they are right now, because we'll be buying low on some of the places that are still producing for us. We'll have funds to go into things that are producing a little bit higher than like 1% a day, but we feel like they're going to continue to produce. Like, we have Uniswap V3 concentrated liquidity. That pool's been doing extremely well. That would be one of the areas we add some of this money to. So we're prepared to take on, easily up to the first million to 2 million. We don't see a problem. There's a lot of opportunities. Of course, once we whittle them down, there's a lot less of them. But once we get into that range, yes, specifically for farming, there might be a point in time we'd want to cap it and say, look, if we start spreading out too wide, our risk is increasing, we're not going to be able to get the same results. There is a finite amount of places we can farm that level of money, but the ecosystem will always have other opportunities and more opportunities, and some of these definitely can handle a lot of money, especially if we're talking the gaming and side of things, or when we're doing some service offerings. And a lot of the money could be for marketing, and that's something, if we have metrics and it's scalable, yes, again, there might be caps on certain ones, but there's definitely going to be a lot of room there. So it's not something where we're uncomfortable handling it. It's just we have to evaluate the market at the time, the opportunities that we feel safe-ish in, and how much we can handle. For now, we're still in a phase where we can definitely grow, definitely take on more. And I know, I just want to give a quick shout out to Miyagi. He's trying to do a crowdfunding method. He asked if this would be okay. We said absolutely. So following Raz's footsteps, he's in the upfront community, who I believe you guys know as well. He's trying to have them crowdfund a 100K NFT that goes for them. That would be something, if the Pillars wanted a Pillars branded 100K NFT and wanted to crowdfund that, we're happy to facilitate that and try to help it out, and do things like that. So there's still a lot of ways that people want to come in for more. And the one we've been asked the most about is compounding. We don't want to give compounding options just yet. We still want to let this product mature, but then we do want to launch a compounding option called Silos, and they'll work totally different. So that's part of our roadmap, to satisfy those type of people.
Okay. Obviously, you're surrounding yourself by smart people. You just said that Tom Jones has been kind of given a bit of a boost up internally, and he's working behind the scenes. Raza reached out, working behind the scenes. You got Gabo that's sitting here as part of the team. You're always going to be getting questions. Now, one of the main questions that you might be asked surrounding fears that they have, and how are you mitigating?
I think the number one question like people are worried about is the impermanent loss. So meaning like right now we've taken in roughly 340 something thousand. And if you look at our portfolio value, it's somewhere around the 102, 105 mark right now. So there are farms we bought in at 9-10 cents, right? Maybe now they're worth 2 cents. That's kind of the way it goes after hot launches. And a lot of times, a lot of these reward tokens get dumped heavy early on and such. But the ones we're staying in are ones we believe in. So that's something that can easily reverse, right? We are in the bear market still. If one of these, let's say 2 or 3 take off, well, even if it's 2 cents now, it could easily be 30 cents, 40 cents later. These are not outrageous numbers or market cap projections or things like that. So again, we're much more worried about if we get caught in actual rugs. But if we're just in projects that are still producing yield, we like them, we like the team, we like the plan, we're not so worried about that type of unrealized losses. But other people are, and it's not shocking. They see, hey, you guys are only a third of what you've taken in. We also have to consider, yes, we've paid out over 100,000 USDC already. That kind of comes into play there. But really what we're doing is we're building positions while trying to appease people with results in the short term. And that's why it has to be a sunk cost NFT. If we had to manage withdrawals on this, it would be a nightmare. because we know we're always going to be in some form of IL. And if people want their money out, well, do we give it to them at the current market rate, right? Do we have to work on a share value like a mutual fund? There's a lot of
Hmm.
complications and headaches that would go into that. So we said, no, we're going to do the sunk cost NFT, make it very clear. And I don't think people have minded that that's the way it works till now.
No, I echo that. I don't think people mind because, like I said, from what I'm hearing, and I do ask around, it's you guys have a lot of eyeballs on, and people are very impressed with how you've managed it so far. So, no, I think as long as you're transparent and you're upfront and you explain to people before they purchase that those are the rules of engagement, as it were, then I don't think people are going to mind too much at all. You mentioned that you don't want to jump into farms very early on. How much of a factor are some of these groups that will go around, target these farms? They will, throw a ton of money at them for a very short period of time, drain them effectively, and then dump the token. Is that something that you're aware of, and that plays into that decision making? And what kind of process do you have to monitor a group?
Yeah, so we're internally compiling a little list of wallets, and we've shared some with some other people. The alien-based team, they're awesome at tracking these things. They know a lot of groups that are doing this, especially on base
Mhm.
chain. So yes, those groups absolutely exist. They're absolutely going around. Now, their targets, it's starting to form a pattern of right who they target and how. And well, number one, the biggest red flag is if there's high APRs of the reward token on non-native pairs, ETH pairs with USDC, purely stablecoin pairs, single staking ETH or stablecoins, all of those we want to stay away from because there's absolutely no, like, people are jumping into those. They're going to vampire it, dump completely that reward token as hard as they can, and move on to the next one that offers that. So that's for sure one of the most easy, blatant ones we can spot.
Mhm.
And a lot of people do it right just to build up their TVL and get noticed. So that's becoming, the easy first red flag. Some of the other ones, it's a little bit harder because, of course, smart scammers or smart people, malicious, let's say whales, they know what they're doing. They know their setups, right? They can spread this among many wallets, ones with history, ones blended in things, some that have been prepared for, maybe months. So definitely you're not always going to notice those. But again, if you pick one, even if you buy it high and the reward gets dumped, the team is good. The team has a way to sustain themselves and continue forward and keep, adding features and building. I think that's going to be okay. There's
Mm.
somewhere, no, they're not. They were, purely wrecked by people dumping and they don't have a way to continue. And luckily, in those, we've had very small investments. One of them was on, OPBNB. And that's where you see devs just, it didn't work out. I'll just kind of abandon it. It's still actually there. It's still producing by itself, but very, very little because there's no engagement from a team. There's no marketing. Sometimes you see a community try to take something like that over and try to push it
Mhm.
themselves, which is cool because sometimes they actually make significant progress. But most times, if the dev abandons their own project, it's pretty much dead in the ground. So we
Right.
um, we try to avoid those ones. Hopefully, by just seeing how the team interacts, also with the in their Discord and the Telegram, etc.
Right. Okay. Um, we have only got a couple of minutes left. What's the future look like for you guys? What are the things that you're most excited about at the minute that are, very close on the horizon? And as I said to you at the top of this, I'm definitely going to arrange a time to bring you in next week, and we'll have a far more extensive conversation. Um, I think it's only fair, given you've been, you know, smashing it really for the past 6 weeks in our investment channel. But yeah, just kind of as an ending note, what's exciting, what's to come, and what should be people be looking out for?
Yeah, so very short term, we have a Halloween raffle going on. You can get a special Halloween edition NFT. It's a true raffle, right? Your odds are 1 in 10. For every $15, we're gonna give 100. For every 10 $15 tickets, we're gonna give $150 NFT. It starts its own 80/20 cycle, custom Halloween art. We're gonna do something a little special. We haven't shared this part, so this is alpha for you guys.
Yes,
Um,
please.
we're going to have different holiday ones over the course of a year. So maybe that's 4, maybe that's 5, maybe that's 6 at most. If you collect all of them, we're definitely going to plan something special for cashing in a set at the end of the year. So that's
Right.
just a little, a little hint, a little fun thing we can do there. Again, we did mention already the new Windows coming up. What's exciting to me is that we have the game MVP, our first mobile game for Monstro, that's scheduled for mid to late December for release. And by release, like everyone can actually play it. It's a proper game, and then of course we'll add on the features and the monetization later. But that's pretty exciting to me as a game fan. And everything else is just the things we're talking about. We have our first few partnerships launching very soon. One is Spritz Finance. That's something we're integrating their widget right now. We're just waiting on their team for something. And then everyone will get a discount on fees there. We'll have a Monstro branded card down the line. Battle Bets is another thing we're partnering with. They're almost ready to release the new beta of their whole program, which is really cool because Monstro is going to be a character in it with full animations that they made, where he's going to fight Marvel characters and Street Fighter characters and anime characters, and that's just kind of fun and cool. But there's also added benefits for down the line when we get to our token, which is probably the most exciting thing for the future, which will only be next year. But we do have a lot of unique farm, I would say, features and technology and ways we've designed our farm and our own token. Some of them that nobody's doing to our knowledge. We've been bouncing these around with peers we feel have experience in that realm. It's been almost a consensus, a lot of positive feedback. So I think that's going to be really exciting to see how that all works and plays out. But yeah, I think that would be what I can answer in a quick time frame here.
Yeah, great, thank you. Okay, the last question for me: do you think Monstro is the breath of fresh air that this space needs to an extent? We know that investing is serious business, and managing money is obviously serious business, and hence the serious questions. Kind of in the 30 minutes that we've had, but at the same time, you've created something fun. There is a play element to it. There's gaming that's going to be coming through, and it is taking itself seriously, but not seriously at the same time, if you get what I mean. Um, that I assume is by design. And do you think you're going to push it even further in terms of giving this space just a bit of a positive boost that perhaps we're lacking at the minute?
Yeah, I think that we're building it like we would be building, when we initially launched NFT projects. We wanted to build a real brand we can use everywhere in the world and do, if the opportunity came up and the resources were there, do anything from games to animation to, it could be coloring books on Amazon, like could be branded water, energy drinks. Like we don't care if there's a good fit for it. We wanted a brand that can do that kind of mass appeal. And that I think stands out from the rest of DeFi projects for the most part, where they're all about the protocol, right, and the money aspect. We're about actually making a brand that can do things in all reaches of the world, both Web 2 and Web 3. So I think that does set it apart. And we keep obviously a very light vibe, a fun vibe, the visual appeal and whatnot. It does, differ from most things that are fairly I would say minimalist UI driven, right? A lot of them are forks or forks of forks, and everyone like copies the pancake swap, UI, things like this. So yeah, I think ours is a little bit different in that respect.
Yeah, great. Thank you. I got to say, your community are also slightly different in that they're quite respectful. One of the things I noticed, especially about them coming into our space, is we can obviously be a hotbed for people that want to shill certain projects, and people can be quite relentless with it. The one thing I noticed about the Monstro community, and Tom Jones is an example of that, is actually it was all done very respectfully. They mention you, they tell you to go and have a look, and it's not kind of rammed down your throat in the way that some others might. And I really like. And again, I think that's a testament to how you guys are driving it forward, sitting at the helm, and it
I
creates a
think
really nice atmosphere that people can enjoy.
Yeah, I think that's also to do with just the fact we're not engaging any real, shilling marketing efforts. Like I'm sure you get them all the time, just like everyone else, where people
Right.
spam you all day long, like, "Hey, we can give you 1,000 DMs a day for $50 and do this and do that."
Yes.
And we never engage with any of that. And that's, I think, a big part of why the people we have are very high quality. There's there's no one I would say that joins our community almost that is just there, kind of doing nothing or trying to shill other things or trying to win contests. Like everybody's in there because they're actually interested, which is refreshing.
Yeah, great. Okay, well, the giveaway is happening right now, and as people know, one of the prerequisites to be eligible is to join the Monstro Discord, and I've just pinged it in the community questions. Great. I look forward to having a lengthier conversation with you at some point slightly down the line. Let's arrange something for next week so I can really put you in the hot seat for a bit longer. Not just because I'm interested in asking more questions, but I also enjoy our conversations. They're always good fun. Thank you.
As do I, and I gotta say, this was a very not so hot seat. It was very easy.
Well, that's because I'm saving them for next week. But November 2nd, Thursday, that's when you guys have the next cycle open, 72 hours, I think you said. There's also a raffle going on, and I'm certain if anybody wants to jump into the Discord and ask some questions, there's always going to be someone on hand to answer
Yeah.
anything that people
We're going to try to have a little Halloween fun on November 1st when the raffle ends. We are going to do a little stream before, do the grubfish, etc. So you're more than welcome, as always, to join our streams. We always love to have you and everyone else here.
Thank you very much, sir. If I am available, then I will absolutely jump in and say hi.
Excellent.
All right.
So,
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time.
thank you, and thank you everyone for listening.
Yeah, thank you, guys.